Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me here today. I am so happy and grateful to be able to share this information with you. This is information regarding what the heck is a spiritual awakening. This is information from my own personal journey. So with that being said, I am not a religious individual by any means. I am not I consider myself to be extremely spiritual, however. So that is being said here just to really kind of give you guys the idea. It's not that one is better than the other by any means. It's really just so you get the perspective of where I'm coming from in my own personal journey that I'm going to share with you guys. So hopefully some of this information can help you along your journey. One thing I will stress, however, is that the journey itself, there's no timelines for each individual. There is no, how do I say it? There's a pattern to it, but there really aren't stages to it because it can really just be an up and down and all around emotional roller coaster. So I can give you examples, right, and categories that you might be able to fit into during a specific point in time during your awakening. However, it is by no means a stage by stage journey for sure. So with that being said, let's get into the details. I have done lots of research regarding spiritual awakenings during my own personal awakening to try to figure out what the heck was going on and what I was experiencing at the time. So I'll share some of the finer details of that information with you as well. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. All right, first up, I just want to mention that I do have a dog in the background, and he will perhaps from time to time during this video huff and puff where he doesn't get attention. So we did just lose one of our dogs yesterday, so I'm going to make sure that he is comfortable and happy today. So hopefully we can kind of just tune that out in the video. So getting into this, what it is, what a spiritual awakening is a sacred experience where your ego transcends limitations of the self. So that's kind of the fancy wording around it. To me, a spiritual awakening was from time to time terrifying, scary, joyous, exciting, exhilarating. Really what's happening is you are gaining the full spectrum of feelings and emotions that are possible for a human being. And there may be some very, very low and some very, very, very high emotions and feelings that you have yet to experience. So the spiritual awakening, which can be triggered by different things for different people, the process can be easy on some, and the process can be an extremely difficult and frustrating process for others. So it's really about understanding that you're going within and really allowing yourself to see and become the observer. So you're going to become the observer of your reality. You are a spirit, and you are a spirit who is experiencing a human existence. So think of this body as this meat suit that's carrying around your soul. Something very interesting that I have recently heard during research and just listening to information, and it makes so much sense. I'm not sure who has said it and where it came from, but it makes so much sense to me, and it really resonated and hit home with me when I heard it. We truly don't really ever experience things outside of ourselves, in the sense that when you look at the self, the human being that we are, we have these senses. We have sight, smell, taste, touch, hearing. So when we're experiencing those senses, we are experiencing them from within. So we are within the body, seeing, right? We're seeing outward. We're smelling from the body around us, outward. But the experience of it is happening within us. The tasting of food, right? It's in our mouth physically, but the experience, the taste, that comes from within. The hearing is the same idea, right? The touch is the same idea. So really, in another sense, you can consider a part of your spiritual awakening being an awakening of another sense, like a sixth sense or beyond. So that's exciting to think of ourselves in that way, maybe for the very first time. Yeah, so the spiritual awakening for everyone, like I say, it's going to be different time frames, different times in life. Stages can last for different durations. The biggest thing that I found during my own personal awakening was the experience of feeling alone and the fear of being alone, experiencing fear in general, working through that fear and courageously moving past it and allowing myself to be in a place of just peace. I'm at peace with myself. I'm at peace with where I'm at. I'm at peace with my surroundings, regardless of what is happening around me, which during this time, there are many, many different difficult things that we can focus on for sure. And I'm not saying to neglect those things, which are very, very important for us to get a handle on. And we do need to educate ourselves, and those things are important. What I am saying is you get to a point where you can kind of experience mastery in the sense that there could be a hurricane happening all around you. And that's just a silly example maybe, but the point is you are so stable within that anything on the outside will not distract you, will not change your mood, because your mood is your vibration. We are vibrational beings. And it's really important to say as well that that vibration is simply energy, and energy cannot be created or destroyed. So it's a constant, right? It's that infinite soul essence that's kind of, I visualize it coming down from above and then coming through the top of my head and then just down through all the chakras in the body. So I can allow myself at this point as well to see myself as the observer. And there were definitely parts where I was very much going through a depersonalized state. And I was very unsure of what that meant at the time. So I could see myself from up above. I could see myself, look down on myself and see myself. That was very esoteric, very, very, I wouldn't have believed it until I experienced it myself. So I was once upon a time a very skeptic until I experienced it myself. But that allowed me to understand that I am not this personality. I am not this person who is given a name. That is not me. That is a personality. That is simply a personality. It is not the true essence of who I am. And this physical body, this physical reality, this is also, it's a gift to be able to allow us to explore this planet. It is, however, just assisting us kind of as an avatar to move through this world. But what we are starting to really understand, especially through awakenings, more on a collective level, is that we are truly incredibly powerful, And we always have been. We've really just been programmed to not believe our worthiness, to not believe the extreme power that we do hold within, to believe that it is just nonsense to even consider it. So these are a lot of things that happen within society, and of course all of the structures within society and religions and whatever you want to classify it as. But these are things, our beliefs have been really just, we've been programmed with a lot of things from our upbringing, from our parents, and through no fault of their own, they likely went through the same experience with their parents. So from generation to generation, there could definitely be things that are passed down to you that you're going to experience, and they automatically become your beliefs. But believe it or not, when you're an adult, it's going to be your responsibility to kind of sit back and question for yourself, are these really truly what I want for myself? In my experience, are these really truly the beliefs that I'm going to allow to hold me back? So if you really want to be open to the experience, that is definitely the first thing that you need to consider for yourself, because if you're not going to surrender to the process, you are going to be in a world of difficulty. And of course, I take the hard road, and I learned the hard way. I went through the very, very tiring, exhausting, difficult, hard, sad, frustrating experience of a spiritual awakening. I'll also mention parts of the triggering, which may start the spiritual awakening, can also be important in that aspect. So with that being said, let's move on. So with a spiritual awakening, I can say that there are three main things that will likely arise. And that is illusion, breakdown, grow, and evolve. First up, illusion is allowing ourselves, again, to get rid of the beliefs that are no longer serving us, to have an open mind, to surrender to the process, to understand that maybe things are not quite as they appear. There may be things that are happening around us that are, I don't want to say brainwashing you, but they're really, how do I say it? They're kind of really providing you with an unrealistic vision of what you are as a spiritual being in this world, and the power that you hold within, and that connection that we all have and that we can all nurture. The illusion that is not a reality, because if it's not seen, right? If it's not something that we're accustomed to, if it's not something we can prove, it's not real in a lot of people's minds. So it's very, very real. And I can assure you, when you do go through a spiritual awakening, that you will, you'll be changed forever. You will become a new version, a new, better version of the self. So first up, the illusion. Second one, the breakdown. This is an unfortunate aspect of a spiritual awakening, and a very, very necessary aspect of a spiritual awakening. The breakdown can be hitting rock bottom, as it was in my case, not necessarily done too gracefully. But with that being said, it tears you down so that you can start from scratch and rebuild your way back up. Some people will go through harder experiences than others, and it might just depend on how stubborn you are. I'm a very stubborn person, so for me, I did have to take the hard route and hit rock bottom. But that breakdown is the breakdown of the illusion that you are not a light being. Okay. Last up, grow and evolve. The whole process um, is a process of growth. And we are here as humans living this um, human existence, even though we are a spiritual being in a body, we are here to evolve, right, as a species. And we have, for a very long time, I feel, been stuck and confined into a box. And we are now, it's almost as if we're being not only allowed to come out of the box, but encouraged to come out of that box, so that we can see what truly we are within, things that we've missed and things that are our inherent birthright to experience during this time here on earth. So this is the last part, which I consider the grow and evolve aspect. So these, no particular order. This is really just how it happened for me. Okay, so the first thing that really started this whole process for me was a shift. And the shift can be something that is very clear to you that something has changed. It may not be clear to you what it is. Um, that part can still be very confusing, but it is clear that something has shifted. That something will come along later for some, and that's okay. It's really about knowing that there's something beyond, there's something behind the scenes, there's something that you know intuitively, there's something you can feel intuitively, connect with intuitively, and it's something that it's very sacred and very personal. So the shift that can happen for some people, which is like there's a catalyst usually that kind of makes the shift uh, appear in your life. And the first way this can happen is through traumatic events or circumstances that instill some chaos in your life. This is not so much fun. But as you look back, maybe years later, if you've gone through that route, that it was necessary for this reason. And you kind of put all the puzzle pieces together. So this could include different things. Maybe physically, you've been in a car accident and put in the hospital, broken bones. This could be the end of a relationship that you thought you would be growing old together. This could be the many, many, many different situations that can just leave that imprint of tragedy, that imprint. So for some people, it can be more serious, and some people, it can be more subtle. And the second way is the way I want to reincarnate and come back and experience it. It's really just spontaneous. And I think that's happening an awful lot right now. There is a large percentage of the population that are awakening or experiencing this shift, or are already through that part of their journey. And it's many, many people all at the same time experiencing the same types of things. So keep that in mind if you are and you think that you're alone, because you're not. You're not in that aspect, and you're not in the sense that you have a connection to your higher self that is all knowing. It is all, it's there to support you and loves you so, so very much. So this shift really is, like I say, a catalyst, can really bring this shift on, and it's very clear. And just trying to think if there's anything that I'm missing from that. It has been years for me. Yeah, and unfortunately for me, it wasn't pleasant whatsoever. It was pretty sad. And so it was even, some of this stuff can be very, very, very deep rooted. There can definitely be ancestral trauma that needs to be cleared so that we can ascend. All right, so we're going to move on. I think I've covered just the basics. I do feel if you're finding value out of this information or this video today, if you want to comment down below and tell me that you are interested in further information, then I will make further videos. But I do need to hear from people in order to go that route. So feel free to comment below if this information is helpful to you, or even if you feel that it may be helpful to another. All right, so the next thing that took place for me was the beginning of expanding scale of emotion. So you move into bliss. You move into this very extremely intense shift. It's going to be like anything you've ever experienced. It's going to feel like you're in a whole new universe. You're going to just feel joy. You're going to feel happiness and love, and just really connected with everything around you. So more connected with nature, more connected with other individuals around you, being able to maybe become more empathic and really experience or share in the experience of the emotions that they're going through. But the blissfulness is really, it's heaven sent, and it's very divine. And there's no question while you're going through this that it's going to last forever. It's the feeling of this is going to last forever. I'm going to say that a third time. It feels as though the blissfulness that's happening all around you is going to last forever, but the unfortunate part is it does not. So enjoy this blissful time, because it's really a preparation for later on in your journey. It's allowing you to have that experience. I can't really say on a physical level. I believe that our bodies kind of have to get used to maintaining that level of energy, that level of joy and blissfulness. We're not used to it, we're not accustomed to it. It can become, being blissful can become very tiring and exhausting. It's not a state where we are accustomed to, and we can't really continuously move through everyday life consistently at this point in time. It's just not something that we can sustain. So this is a new extreme feeling of joy and harmony and peace and love and bliss, and just a love of self, a love of others. You really see where others are coming from, in a sense. You might be able to place yourself in another's shoes and kind of see things from their perspective. And it's really just a time that's heaven sent. It's a time where you will come to expect this for yourself. The more you believe that you are worthy in the future, because once you've experienced this type of bliss, it is unreal how unlike anything we've ever experienced possibly in our lives this intense energy can be. And the thing that I'm starting to notice at this particular point in time, with more people awakening, with events around the world being difficult and traumatic in a sense, it is bringing about these feelings for some. And I feel as though once you've had these feelings, you don't ever want to go back, obviously. You don't, nothing else will be acceptable for you, in the sense that you know it exists now and you can't go back. So you're going to start to try to figure out ways to get back there. And you're going to, like I said, at the end of the day, you're really going to, this is big. This is really, really big. You're going to start to feel worthy, that you are worthy to feel this way. So that is the intense feelings of bliss that come about, and unfortunately, also as quickly as they go from 0 to 1,000, they do go back down again. So I'm going to include a picture shot in the next slide, which is going to be showing you the scale of emotions. So what's happening here is you're very quickly moving from one place on the scale to the most extreme at the top. And we can definitely also go the reverse during this experience. So we're going through So the dark night of the soul. This is a very extreme downward spiral. It's into sadness. It's into darkness. Realistically, what is happening here is you're starting to learn to live more from a heart space, and to have compassion, not just for the self, but for all of humanity and all living things. And the process is going to involve ego death. So what will happen when you kind of have that breakdown and you hit rock bottom, let's say, everything comes up to be released. So any traumas that you've experienced throughout your life, any past ancestral patterning that needs to be released, anything that is holding you back in a negative manner, anything that is heavy. That's the best way probably to explain it. Anything that you have pushed down because you did not want to experience the unpleasantness of the situation. These are things that need to be purged from your system, and they will come up. They will come up, and it can happen very quickly. It can happen very with an intense force. And for all during the point in time that you're going through it, you definitely are not going to want to trust the process. You definitely are not going to, especially after, for me, being in a blissful state prior to this, and then moving into the dark night of the soul, which is pretty drastic of a drop on that scale of emotions. It makes things even more difficult. It definitely did for me. It made things I had a sense of depression, knowing that how could this happen? How could I have been feeling so great, and then all of a sudden, wow, this. And it's just those feelings that you're going to have to work through personally. I went to counseling. I have a therapist, and I've gone through specific to my specific situation, my specific trauma. I've worked through that, and it doesn't necessarily have to be done through these means or with a professional. I was incredibly lucky to have that at my disposal, but I do recommend that you, at the very least, do some research on what you're experiencing and how there's a lot of people who experience addictions. It all comes up. It all comes up. All of the nasty skeletons in the closet. It's just it's coming up to be released. You no longer need to own it. Once I was able to come to that conclusion for myself, the feelings were all very, very heavy. But once I was able to understand and speak my truth and let go of something that I really shouldn't have been holding on to for as long as I did, um, it's a really freeing feeling once you've worked through. And this is definitely a stage where you're going to be putting in the work. This is a stage where you're likely to feel lonely. This is, I think it was definitely the stage for me where I felt the most alone. Even though I did have a therapist, you really truly do go through that for a reason. I believe it's part of the process as well. So if you're experiencing those feelings, if you're experiencing that aspect of things, please know that it is normal. You are going through this experience where many others have gone through this experience. Maybe it's been something that you have friends and family that have experienced, and they just haven't really opened up to you about the experience. It hasn't always been something that has been talked about. It hasn't been something that people have been may feel comfortable about. And that's okay too, because we don't want to force people to talk about something that they're not ready to talk about. But if you are fortunate enough to have someone, a loved one, who can help you through the situation based on their own personal journey, and maybe you'll actually learn some new information about a loved one. When you go through this, you may have some heart to hearts with some people in your life that maybe you wouldn't have otherwise. So you really start to see, in the long run, you start to see some of the benefits of the dark times. One thing I will say for me personally, something that really truly helped me, it was something that now that I look back on it, was so simple, but it was so key for me, was to read daily affirmations. If you have a cell phone and you have some type of an app that can send you inspirational quotes or uplifting memes or whatever it is for you that works for you, it was just a way for me to have that support. You could set an alarm on your phone and remind yourself to just take a moment to read this information. Different people, different things work for different people. But that was really something so simple that I'm not sure what it did to my brain, but it pulled me out of a pretty dark state. So whatever you're putting into your mind during this time is going to be critical. If you're putting in all of the negativity that you see out in the world, if you are in an environment which is impacting your mental health, it is going to be your responsibility at this point in time to take yourself out of that environment. And you are going to have to do that as an act of love for yourself. Um, it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of faith. You're making moves at this point based on faith. But you feel so bad that you know that you can't continue. So something has to change. Um, but things will change, things will improve, things will get better. And I can promise you that. I can promise you that you are incredibly strong. I can promise you that you are way stronger than you give yourself credit for. And we as human beings, our will with our spirit, we have this incredible will that we've been gifted with. And until we've actually been put in a situation where we've been tested, we really don't understand what we're capable of. And you will be amazed when you come out the other end of what you are actually capable of, how incredibly strong you are and powerful. That is a big, big message here. Powerful. You have power, but beyond what even you can comprehend as a human. There's going to be things that I'm coming across during this journey, and I'm maybe not necessarily comfortable with sharing all of that here yet. But there are things that our little pea brain human minds can't comprehend. And I'm starting to see some of those things, and I'm really just going through it based on intuition. So if it's intuitively resonating with you, then it's, sorry, my nose is itchy. You're going to intuitively know if something, especially after having the highs and lows that you've experienced, you're going to know. And this is a learning opportunity. It doesn't feel like a really good learning opportunity. It feels like you're being punished. It feels like, why am I going through all of this pain and suffering? Why me? And all of those things do come up. I think the biggest thing for me was just the feeling of alone. I do believe that there's a portion of this process where it is important that you have that, because then you can reach out to your higher self and your not that you're forced to, but you're encouraged to during difficult times. And maybe you're more willing to try certain things that you would have if the situation hadn't come up for you. So this might be a really great opportunity for you to kind of move further into your faith, whatever that is for you. Really, it's just about having connection to something that is larger, something that is beyond ourselves. You'll start to see, I can promise you, you'll start to see things that are just out of this world, and you can't really wrap your head around. So you might start to see signs and synchronicities of things. Those are just the beginning of a whole new reality. And I can tell you, especially during this point when you probably need to hear it, it is incredibly exciting to see what the future has in store on this awakening journey. I am so excited to move forward into the next phase. I'm looking forward to, I'm always wanting to learn. I'm always wanting to question everything. Be open to understanding that we maybe don't know, right? We maybe have been set in our ways and thought that we did, but be open to asking questions, ask a lot of questions, do your own research. Don't allow yourself to be stuck in a rut where information that is coming to you sounds just outlandish, it's good to hear the information, because without hearing the information, we don't have anything to bounce it off of, right? Like we don't have anything to compare it to. So if we don't have the good times and the bad times, how do we compare things to that blissful feeling that we had if we didn't experience it? How do we so when you're going through the dark night of the soul, you have that ability to know that you have been in that place of bliss. So if it was possible for you in that instance, why would it not be possible for you to return there once again? So ask questions, learn as much as you can, learn, research. You're going to find that likely there's communities as well that are open and talking about this information. And if you feel that there's no personal connection that you have where you can open up about this information as well, and that can be. Okay, so the next phase or stage or um, part of the cycle is to really experience a state of complete and utter emptiness, and also wanting to be in hibernation for me personally. I think that's pretty consistent from most stories that I've heard as well. I've made a few notes here. So you really are in a place after the dark night of the soul, and you feel extremely exhausted. You feel as though the battle really, really, really took everything it could possibly take from you. You are dead tired. You are you're kind of in this state as well where you feel in between. Um, so in between, meaning from your old self to the new self. The best way to explain this is the butterfly and the cocoon that the butterfly wraps themselves in, and they're really preparing for this new stage where they're going to transform into a beautiful butterfly. So if you can think of this stage for yourself in that way, it might help a little bit. So you're going to be kind of in a cocoon state. You're going to be really protecting yourself, your energies. You're going to need to have really good boundaries here. This could, however, for some people, and I don't know if it's for everyone, but this could be a really hard place to be where you feel abandoned. Okay, so this is a feeling. This may not be the actual reality of the situation. However, this is what you may be experiencing as your perception. This is also possibly a really important aspect of what's happening, what you're going through here. So you may feel abandoned. At any rate, you're in a preparation phase. You may have been in a state where you've just been so incredibly, is though you're in this dark, dark hole and you've had to claw your way out. And the really interesting thing here that you're going to look back on someday and you're going to realize that it was you. It was all you. It always was, right? You are the one and only who can rescue yourself from this. And that is so, 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 so empowering. It's allowing you to come out of the other side and feel more self-reliant. You know from this point on as well that you can manage your own light. You can go and get your own light. You are the keeper of your own light. You're never really cut off from the higher self, even though during this time it might feel as though you're you're cut off, feel as though you're being abandoned, there's really just like a block, because you can never really be cut off from your higher self. So in the beginning of this phase, you're really just wanting to rest, and you need to rest, you need to relax, you need to take care of yourself, you need to do the simple things. Listen to your body. If you're tired, take a nap. Things that you can do during this phase to pamper yourself: take a nice warm bath in Epsom salts. Be careful about what you're putting into your body. It might be hard, and you might want comfort foods, but how you're going to feel afterwards is a really, really big issue during this time. So even if it's just simple little changes, for me, it was something as simple as every single day I told myself I would eat an apple a day. So I made that change in my routine. And I normally, when you have those New Year's resolutions, they don't last. But I told myself that my life could depend on this. Whether or not I eat that apple a day is that important during this stage. And so I consistently did that. And those little changes, they become a habit for you, good habits for you in the future that you generally want to continue. But during this specific point in time, you need to nourish your body, because you are just drained. You do get to the point, however, where you're in this, I call it the hermit mode. I read tarot cards. I'm a tarot card reader. So anyone who does will understand the hermit mode. You're sheltering yourself. You do, however, get to the point during all of this negativity, you get to this point where the baggage can be released, and you really... you're open and willing to allow the real you to come forward, if that makes sense. This is at the end of this stage, you start to feel as though you want to get back to bliss. So it's not, I don't know if it's a need, but it's a wanting. You want to get back to that feeling of bliss that you had, and you know that you are capable of. So I guess the big thing here is to really take care of yourself in ways that other people, they can't do for you. So it's to recognize that, it's to listen to your body, it's to listen. If you can do any type of meditation, if you can do any type of journaling as well. This was something for me when I went through the process and my therapist recommended that I journal. I'm not that individual, or I wasn't that individual at the time. I've definitely evolved. I've grown and evolved throughout this process. At the time, I was not that individual who would journal whatsoever. It wasn't me. It wasn't who I was. It wasn't in my personality. But I can say that it did make an impact on me. I did make the effort to try. It allowed for things to arise that needed to arise. It allowed for me to step out of the situation and be the observer and see things from a different perspective. So journaling can be really, really, really helpful during that stage. Yeah, and don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. Don't feel guilty for taking the time for yourself. That's hard. That was really, really hard for me, because I always wanted to do for others. And at the end of the day, it didn't matter if there was time left for me. I had to change that habit. And that was really, really hard for me. And you may be in the same situation. So don't feel guilty. Also, don't put too much stock in what others think of you. So the opinions of others, And I can promise you, towards the later parts of this whole journey, this whole spiritual awakening journey, you really understand on a very deep level that what others think of you is absolutely none of your business. And that is such a gift, because you really, truly, and you can't fool your higher self. Your higher self knows every detail about you, all of your inner thoughts, all of it. So on a very, very deep level, you know, and you truly believe that what others think of you is of no concern whatsoever to you in your life. So that can definitely, at the end of all the trying times, be something positive that can come out of this whole process for you. All right. Okay, so the next stage, or next part of the next chapter of my spiritual awakening journey, was the grounding part. And this is a very, I'm just going to read, I'm starting to get tired towards the end of the video, so I'm just going to read from my notes. The blessing that you start to really uncover and experience, and see that you are growing and evolving. Remember earlier when I said that your system in the blissful period is only capable of maintaining such a high vibrational state for so long? Well, this is a of the process where your energy system, it becomes way more powerful than it's ever been before. And it's interesting because you become not only more powerful, but the best way that I have found to describe it is magnetic. And it's almost as if things gravitate towards you naturally and effortlessly. It's really something that I'm finding hard to put into words. Um, so I'm just going to, this was the stage, the grounding stage for me, where I still am looking for ways to consistently ground myself, because the journey never really ends. It's ongoing, and we continue to grow and evolve. So this is definitely an area that I am working on, self-improvement for myself. Um, you return to feelings of connectedness with everyone and everything. So during the blissful state, you had this, but here it becomes more sustainable, I would say. So you're being transformed, and you are emerging from that cocoon, which means that you are stronger on an energetic level. You're able to protect your energies. You're able to return to civilization and feel good about this change and this transition. Um, big bonus is you're able to hold these new energies and protect yourself, even with an imaginary bubble, right, that nobody can penetrate. And it sounds kind of dumb, just put it like that, but it really truly feels as though you can stand there in your power, and you have this superpower, and you become this superhero, if you want to even think of it that way. You are invincible, you're untouchable, and you've experienced it, so you know from this point forward that it's true for you, and there's no going back. And it's amazing. It's some things, like I say, that I'm experiencing now, I'm not able to really understand them from a logical perspective. I'm not able to understand them from, you know, from a human capacity. It's just it's a journey into something completely new and exciting. So at this point, you basically are becoming more of that mature version of yourself, in the sense that you can see the beauty of the dark and you can see the beauty of the light. I'm not going to get too much into detail here in this video. I think it's a completely separate topic altogether. I do feel, especially during this point in time, that there may be some triggers with events that are happening out in the world. So at this point, for me, in my own personal journey, you definitely start to see the beauty in both. And you really do also start to not only believe, but I think understand that when you go through the dark times, the darkness can only exist in the absence of light. So at the end of the day, what we need to become responsible for as individuals, each individual on our own personal journey, no one else can do this for us. It is our responsibility. It is a responsibility to allow ourselves to open up to our light, our own personal shining light. We need to bring that forward, right? Others can try to dim that within us. Yes, for sure. But we are the ones who are responsible for maintaining this, especially at this grounding point of the journey. We're responsible for maintaining this ability to shine our light brightly, because what happens at this point is we are able to enter the situations where there is darkness and we can be that light. Do you know what I mean? Like, we can shine our light on the darkness. And as a result of us shining our light onto the darkness can no longer exist, because darkness is only the absence of light. So I'm going to stop there, because that I can get into more of a conversation on that, but that could be possibly be for another time. Who knows? So we're going to move into the last. Okay, here we go. On to the final aspect of our spiritual awakening journey, our destiny and our life mission. This is a really, really profound time. I'm just going to read what we have up here on the screen: of newfound confidence in your heart, right? So during this entire process, you've allowed a heart opening. You've allowed your heart to open, and it's almost as if before the entire spiritual awakening was triggered, your heart was closed off. So at this point, you have a completely open heart. You really you commit to your soul path, but you not only commit to your soul path, you feel as though you have such a drive within you to fulfill your life mission, to however you want to put it. It's just, you can feel it so deeply, how incredibly important it is to the whole for you, your own personal individual self, with your own personal blueprint, right? We all come into this world, we all have our own personal fingerprint. No one else in the world is alike, and we have our own personal blueprint when we come into this world. Believe it or not, we actually choose when we're going to be. So we really just come into this lifetime with amnesia, is a way to put it, I guess. We forget, and we're coming into the remembering period, right? And collectively, this is a time where many are coming into a time of remembering. So it is a beautiful time to be alive. And like I said, you're going to, at this stage, you're going to want to commit to your life mission, your soul purpose, your destiny, your true desire, because you feel as though every single cell in your body is leading you and pushing you and pulling you towards that. And you have this inner knowing and this inner intuition. It's guiding you. It's guiding you, and you have complete faith and knowing that this guidance can be trusted, that this guidance is divine, that you are divine, and you will follow through with this guidance because you know on a very deep level how incredibly important you are, where there is no other. There is no other like you. So you're going to follow through with your soul purpose because you understand at this point how incredibly important it is, not just to you, but to the whole, right? It is your responsibility at this point to move forward. And it is not only your responsibility, but it's your right. It is your privilege. That's huge. It is your privilege to do so. All right, so let's take a look at my notes, make sure I haven't missed anything I wanted to mention. Oh, it's another note I put down here is at this point in the journey, you've gone through the hero's journey. So that's a little bit of tarot, my tarot readings, if you're familiar with that. So yeah, you really come through the whole spiritual awakening with an intense sense of deep courage. And truly, everything that you've experienced throughout the spiritual awakening was very much needed to move into the next step and the next step and the next step of your journey, right? It was all preparing you for your purpose, for your mission, your life mission here. So you really, truly are a new person who is grounded and powerful at this point. So you likely will have people who maybe haven't seen you in a while, even those who have. They're going to notice that you are a different person. They're going to notice that you have this different aura about you, I guess, if that makes sense. I think the big part to understand is that you have a great big confidence in your heart, whereas before that may not have existed for you. So you're going to follow your heart because you have such a faith and knowing and confidence. So at this point, you're gonna move forward no matter what, and there is nothing, no one, anywhere that can stop you from completing this mission. That's how deeply embedded it is into you, and you're tapping into that at this point. So you have a complete faith that the universe has got you, and your heart wants to serve. That is huge. So at this point forward, you're really moving forward, not only committing to your soul mission, but you're also taking baby steps. And this is not where the journey ends. This is not by any means where the journey ends. This is where we start taking baby steps, and we trust that we may not know all of the details. We may not see the big picture right now, but we do trust and have faith and know that each and every step along the way will be illuminated to us, right, as we progress. So even though we don't see all of the steps at this moment in time, that doesn't mean we don't start taking baby steps, right? It is so crucial that at this point we do start taking baby steps and that we start moving forward, we start building, right? This is going to be a time of building. And the things that are going to be, oh, my nose is incredibly itchy. Sorry. But the things that we'll be building from this point forward, from this state, we are truly, invincible. Obviously, we're human beings and we have limitations, but we do also have this mastery behind us where we are able to co-create, go out into the world and co-create what we envision for ourselves. And this is the part where miracles can happen, miracles can take place. I truly do believe that we're going to be moving into a time where things are going to need to change, and they're going to need to evolve and progress forward. And I do believe that some of the things that we are capable of, you can only begin to imagine, right? So for me, and I hope for you too, you can ask yourself or ask spirit or your higher self every day, just ask the question, is this as good as it can get? Challenge the universe with that question. Is this as good as it can get? You're challenging them to show you even better. And you will be just blown away with the results that can come your way. Because even though you think something is amazing, it can come to you in glorious ways that can just be infinite. And you really, truly, at the end of the day, feel a deep, deep gratitude, deep within your heart. So with that being said, I think I'm going to end the video here. If this has been helpful to any of you, please comment below if you feel that it has. Just the feedback is really great for me to know, if there's other videos as well or areas that you'd like me to cover, then I can, kind of get started on that. If you feel this could be helpful to another, please feel free to share, pass it along. It helps, of course, if you want to subscribe, if you don't want to subscribe, if you want to like, if you don't want to like, it helps the channel. But what I really want from you is a commitment to ask questions, right? Always ask questions. Always keep learning. Always keep exploring. Always keep asking questions. So if you do have questions and you do feel like I could be helpful in some way, please put that information in the comments down below. And I hope to see you guys all again really, really soon. And hopefully you guys also feel comfortable in the future, maybe even to share parts and aspects of your spiritual awakening journey. So thank you again. It's been such a privilege to be here and share this information. I hope even if it's helpful to one individual, I am going to feel incredibly blessed to be in the position to be able to do that. So thank you to you. Thank you to the universe. We have to have gratitude for Mother Earth, especially during these times. All right, everyone, until next time, please stay safe, take care of your loved ones. Namaste.